Policy that offers you a payment upon your death or the death of any covered family member that can be used to offset post-mortem expenses. For as little as 75 cents per day, you can ensure that your expenses are covered. Call Beacon at 440-4447 and sign up for the Rest Easy plan today.
2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6.
Education multiplies their chances and places the world of opportunity in their hands. No matter where they are in the world, make sure they're prepared for their journey back to school with Western Union. School fees, books, room and board, whatever the reason. Knowledge, independence, opportunity. Western Union, moving money for better.
Good morning again, everyone. Welcome to another ladies' room, and today is going to be a really important one. So, I really wish you guys would share and participate. And it's for both women and men. You know, this conversation that we're about to have. It's for both women and men. So it'll really love if you guys could share or invite a couple people to come on. So, we can have this conversation. I know it might seem like, we only have this conversation when something happens, but it's a continuous conversation, and we shouldn't have to wait until, it hits home and stuff like that. But it is one that we all can play a part. We can have a voice in, something that affects us all. So, really love if you guys could be part of the conversation this morning. Good morning, Kareem.
Morning. How are you today?
I want to say I'm great, but I can't because I'm sort of an empath. So when something happens, I feel like if it's and it sort of drains you to a point where you take it on, and it's not like you don't even have to know the people like that. You could just know them in passing. But something that pulls that cord, it really affects you. So from the moment, and I said, yesterday I was like, thank God, when I came off air, I got that, the information surrounding what transpired with the young lady yesterday, because I knew if it was on air, it would have totally spoiled my entire morning, and coming off air and getting the news, it totally spoiled the rest of the day, and I'm still feeling the effects of it, and I feel sad. I feel like, what more do we have to say or do? And I think there's a lot more. We can't just stop. We gotta continue the conversation, and sometimes what we ignore are usually, the red flags that could save us, and, while domestic violence affects both men and women, if you check the stats, it's more women and that these things happen too, in terms of being either physically abused or killed, and for the past couple of weeks, as a matter of fact, for the entire year since it started, I've been following the news in Jamaica, and it's almost like every month or every week there's reports of women being killed or physically harmed, and I'm not here to pass any blame because I don't know the circumstances. That's not my concern, and I don't want to dwell on the who, the where's, the why's, and what. But just to generally have a conversation regarding, violence, domestic violence, because there's one thing that we ignore, and that is verbal abuse. We ignore that. But if we were to pay attention to it, and I'm speaking now to women especially. Of course, you're going to speak on behalf of the men. But if we were to pay attention to some of the things your partner may say to you, a lot of times you dismiss it and you laugh it off. Oh, a man would over and over again say to you, listen, I'm going to kill you. Every time he gets upset, every time he gets mad, whenever we have a disagreement, you threaten to kill me. And you dismiss that. A lot of women think that's a turn on. That's something good. A man feels so strongly about you that he's saying he's going to kill you. But if a man says that to me, I'm not seeing that as a joke. Certain things I don't take like a joke. I don't play fight. I'm not even wrestling and hitting me. No, I don't do that. Not even in joke. So when a man constantly says to you, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to do this, and always the first words out of his mouth every time we have a disagreement or something happens, it's always some threat. I'm going to do you this, I'm going to do you that, I'm going to cut your hand, foot, neck, bring it in the police station, I'm going to burn the house down. The mere fact that in anger somebody can have all these things in their mind, what makes you think that one day they may not act on those threats? So a lot of the times we ignore all the little red flags. You might get a little slap here and there and you ignore it and you think, you know what, I deserve it. Because I probably riled him up, or probably I pulled his chains, or I triggered him. So you know what? No. We are not meant, and that is what I can't understand. I could never understand for the life of me how you profess to love somebody. And if we were to go into the meaning of love, how do you tell somebody when we're on good terms that you love me, but when we're on bad terms, the love cannot supersede everything that's happening around us? You love me when we're good, but when we're not good, I'm getting cuffed, I'm getting kicked, I'm getting slapped, all sorts of abuse you can think about. And then we're going back to I love again. How do we equate love with abuse? How do you love somebody and in the same breath threaten to kill them, or you're physically abusing them? And I think the time is ripe right now for parents, guardians, whoever it is, to have the conversation. And I saw someone post something like that a minute ago. Yeah. I saw Shelly posted this a minute ago. Our sons and daughters need some reminders. A relationship that is unsettling is not good for your mental health. Let it go. Fits of uncontrollable rage and anger towards your significant other are signs that the relationship is not good for you. Let it go. It is okay to feel weak at times, and that we are there for them when they feel more stressed. Violence solves nothing. Absolutely nothing. She also went on to say, at this time we have an opportunity to remind our daughters and sisters about sharpening their intuition, loving themselves enough to not tolerate any forms of spousal abuse from the get-go, and that we're there for them. I have a lot more to say, but you can take the floor now.
Honestly, that question that you just asked there, about how you could put love and abuse in the same sentence, it's something I always ask, because some people say, well, when I get my feelings, as a kind of person, like people that's we think down here, as a kind of man, and I get vexed.
So you have no control.
Yeah, or sometimes we use intoxication, for example. When you're intoxicated, you could cuss, you could get on, and I supposed to understand. Personally, for me, that not working, because I feel like even though you say something when you're drunk, when you're angry, whatever, it had to come from somewhere, because you're not an empty vessel. So it has to come from somewhere. So I would definitely take it with a pinch of salt or a pinch of something to know that one day, if we actually serious, you could cuss me like that, you could get on at me like that, you could hit me like that, So, I mean, it's just like I said, sometimes we ignore all these things. And like in relationships, certain things are done for me. Like curse words, for example. You may be having a casual conversation and all the cussing, laughing it off thing. When you're serious now, and you start cussing each other,
obscenities, I don't like it.
and then somebody get more vexed than the other person, and then the violence come in. But if you don't set that precedent similarly when you're joking, there's no way for it to transfer. Like if I just meet you, we dating for a couple of weeks, and I say, yo, miss, it don't work so wrong here. I cut that one time. So there's no way when we serious you could come and bring that to me. Is respect all across the board. So sometimes we actually take things for granted. And yesterday I heard someone say and I mean it was really sad hearing it, because when I honestly got goosebumps. I mean, I know both of them,
Me
I
too.
know both of them. So I kind of got goosebumps. And I mean, inside here, like I was by myself in the studio, and I was like, I couldn't shake it. I honestly couldn't shake it. But then yesterday evening, someone was like, boy, Ray, she do this, she do that, and she kind of deserve it, But listen, I don't care if you're Satan himself. I don't care if your personal life is your personal life.
And
But
you know the
can't tell me,
sad part
you
about
can't
it?
tell me that
I saw
somebody could
women. I
deserve
actually
that.
saw, and not. I could understand men, but when you have women saying these things, why
A
do we
woman
try
that
to
said that.
victimize victims?
Yeah.
Why do we try to make the victims, the whatever happens, the fault of the victim? You have women saying, well, and I actually heard someone saying, you know what, probably she should have given in the money or whatever the case might be. And I'm like, how do you try to make excuse for something like that? There's absolutely no excuse. When you do something, you accept responsibility or you don't. There's no excuse. There's no but. I don't care if it was millions of dollars owed.
Yeah.
There are places you go to seek redress. There's the
Exactly.
police, there's the court,
Exactly.
there's what have you. I don't care what it is. And this brings me to the point where, we're talking about taking care of our mental health, There are a lot of people walking around with a lot of stress, a lot of frustration. They internalize things, they deal with things, and they don't say anything, and then they lash out. And I'm speaking directly now to men. Our society has made it in such a way that men aren't supposed to be vulnerable. They are not supposed to cry. They're not supposed to show their feelings. They're not supposed to show emotions. They're supposed to like swallow it and just be a man at all times. Just be this rough macho. You have no feelings. It's like you're a robot. You're not supposed to feel anything. And I really think it's time that we start working on our boys. For those of you who are parents of boys or men or whatever the case might be. And instead of you beating them and telling them to shut up, you allow them to express the pain that they're feeling. Because that's where it starts from. A young baby, a little boy, you beat him up. All sorts of things, and then you tell him, shut up, don't cry, what you crying for? Be a big man. Big men don't cry. And I think that is where we make the mistake. So what we do now, men keep everything inside. They deal with all sorts of stress, all sorts of traumas come their way. They internalize it, and then it's like, I was having this conversation last night, and I was telling the person, it's like, it's almost similar. You put like a soda in a bottle, right? And you shake. It stays in the bottle long as it's not uncovered. The minute time you shake and you uncover the bottle, what happens? It sprays up everywhere. It explodes. So it's the same can be said of people who keep things inside. They keep it bottled up. They don't talk to nobody. Sooner or later, when there's enough shaking, it's gonna explode. So we really need to get to a place where we say to men and women, it's okay to show your emotions, and seeking counseling, seeking therapy does not mean you're crazy or makes you soft or makes you whatever. Seeking help doesn't make you less of a man or less of a woman or whatever the case might be. To me, it makes you more of a man that you're able to say, you know what, I'm not doing good, I need help. Because that led me yesterday, to do some research, and I'm checking the stats, and they're seeing since COVID covered a lot of things, and it uncovered a lot of things. Before COVID, a lot of things, covered under the rug. And COVID came along and yanked it out, because people are now for the last year they're together. Like before, I go to work, you go to work, we see each other on the way in, out, we see each other on the weekend, probably at night, couple hours, we go to sleep. COVID had people in close proximity, day in, day out. You were like, there was no way to go. You're seeing that partner, you're seeing your spouse every day. Yeah. And doing my research, realized how many divorces there have been from the onset of COVID, how many divorces, how many abuse, women who would have died at the hands of their spouse or their significant other. And it's been really, hold on, let me just take this call. I don't want to lose my train of thought. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Sorry to disturb your train of thought.
That's okay.
It is a whole lot of things that you are ultimately responsible for every action that you take. someone slap you for no reason and you chop out the hand, you are wrong. There was some way you could deal with it. Get to the police, sue them for slapping you and taking out your teeth, all these other things. Yes, it may take time. But another thing we must always understand, we must try to understand, you'll never understand it, what is the mental state of the doer. I don't think we have a system in Grenada, maybe even in the world, where we analyze the mental state of people. We probably have more people with mental challenges outside it. Not we probably. We definitely have more people with mental challenges that we have a clue about. A lot of people go around with a lot of things in their head. They don't know how to seek help more time than not. How much of us know where to go? Or what with the stigma with it when you say you're not feeling good, you probably have a mental problem. Sometimes you're feeling sick and it's all to do with your brain. It is such a sad thing. The violence generally comes from intolerance. We can't stand to quote unquote lose. I would not give up my $150 to him. Her. I will not take that talk from him. He tell me what my mother I'm going to do. Intolerance. Intolerance causes most of the violence, 95% of the violence in this world of any kind. Intolerance for race, color, religion, what you see, what you do. I do not have a solution how we handle that, but they are supposed to be experts out there.
I agree. I just don't think enough is being done. You hear about it, we talk about it for a couple of days, and then it's back to normal. You know, we have social services, we have gender affairs, we have this, we have that, we have.
And what all they do? What do they do?
Where are the programs? Where are the radio programs? Where are the people coming in and let's talk about this? Let's you spend money on all sorts of crazy things. We don't spend enough on people's mental health.
And that
or social fabric, we don't spend enough on it. The structures, the buildings, the this, the that, and the other. But what of the people?
What of the people?
There's a lot of people walking around with stressed, depressed,
real stress.
Quiet and looking so innocent.
and smiling and thinking everything is okay. And then when you hear, because for all what I've heard about this person who did this that act, all I heard was, well, this person is such a cool person. This person is such a nice person. This person never.
Nice person will do that. They must have a problem.
Exactly.
No one.
Everyone
no
I've spoken to who knows the individual, that's all I'm hearing. This guy is so cool. He's so this. He's so that. Never hear him in any trouble. Blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, okay, so what happened?
He was a ticking time bomb all along. How do we know? But how do we find that? Where did he know he has there's somewhere where he can go? Did he know he have a problem? What was going on mentally? He had any? What was his support?
You see, and I like the word you use, support, because men will quicker talk to men than their women about what's happening with them. And a brethren will quicker say to him, "Hey, by the study that, let me go and drink a rum.
Yeah.
Let me go and do the thing. Let me go and make a lime." And that's supposed to take care of the problem. Let me go and drink. Hey, boy, you are stressed. Well, let me go and smoke a weed. Let me do something. And there's no, okay, well, let's sit and talk. You know, what's bothering you? What's going on? How can I help you?
Yeah. That is what I try to do most of the time. What is the story? Let me hear. I don't tell let us go and drink. Forget that. You don't tell people forget. When people have a problem, you can't tell them forget that. Forget is not something you just forget. It is not a light switch where you switch off so you just forget it. Once you have a problem, you do not forget it. It has to be dealt with. You may put it aside, but you don't forget it. You keep on popping up every hour, every day, every month, whatever, what period there. And I think in Grenada, maybe the world, but I'm talking Grenada because this is where I live, we spend too much time on trivialities, a lot of things that are not important, material things, what he say about me, what party you like, who you don't like, all
who
these
taking
things.
who doing what.
Yeah, who's sleeping with who.
But in the meantime, look at
who.
our lone institution for mentally ill people. Look at the state of it.
The state of it.
Imagine that. how
I
many
mean,
years we would have had Carlton Home destroyed as a result of whatever. How many times I'm hearing fundraising and no serious effort being made to
Being made to do
put it back to people who have drinking problem, who are
Oh, we
substance
boast about it.
abuse.
We boast about drinking. We drink. We are what number in the world
in the
drinking,
world
and-
in terms of
and
drinking.
For the I see people that sit down, take every bottle and check it, and this is our amount
take
they
a picture.
drink for the night. I mean, what is that? Why do you have to prove that you could drink more beers than John?
Not only
and-
men, women as well.
Women doing it too. You see, I don't know. We have a society here where we are not taking care of each other. The people with the authority, with the money to spend, what are they doing with it? We're thinking about all other silliness that we can do, and we love our committees. What are the committees doing? This committee doing that, and we supposed to you have a task force to do that, an investigation into that, and we hear nothing about it. Why? You have seen any improvement in Grenada adult life? I mean, I haven't seen anything along those lines in terms of the human. Not we ain't talking building here. We ain't talking about fancy car. We ain't talking about clothes and internet
social
and,
fabric.
and them sort of people. How have we improved people? And if we are not improving people, we will continue to have this problem. Let somebody else get a chance.
Thanks so much. Have a good one. And I think we also need to teach our young men that women are not possessions. We are not your possession. I don't belong to you. You don't own me. And there are men who say that. You belong to me. No, I belong to my mother. And even then, after she let me out, we have to put a stop to this immediately. You hear men actually saying, women are not your property. You don't own a woman. If you're in a relationship, things are not working out, you're not happy, it's toxic. And it seems these days we're promoting toxic relationships. Like, that's a good thing, you know? It is not working out. I'm not happy. You're not happy. You know what? Thanks for your time. There are people who are in situations day in, day out, is just arguing, constantly fighting, and it's like, you know. And then there are families and friends who know that these people are involved in these relationships, you know. They're here helping them cover it up and condoning the violence. But publicly, you're making an outcry about the senseless killing when you know of situations, your own sister or your brother, you know your brother beats his woman, y'all live in the same yard. Have you gone to the police? Have you said to her, you listen, I'm a woman, you're a woman, we're not gonna stand for this. Have you spoken to your brother? Listen, you need to do something, otherwise we're gonna report you to the police, whatever the case might be. Are we taking domestic violence seriously? Because I don't care who this lady was in her life, nobody deserves this.
Exactly.
Absolutely nobody.
That's just to show you the level we at right now, that we can actually sit back and say that. That's to show you the level we at. You know, and like we will talk about it now, and that's the thing in Grenada. If something happened, that's why I don't even. If something happened here, don't even worry, because you're the topic for like 1.5 weeks until something new come up, and then the situation just remains there, and we move on with our lives. That's how things working, you know. So we would make all this thing now, yeah, you know, domestic violence thing, and then it just died on to the next thing.
More people seem to be more interested in the story and what happened behind it than the actual act. I don't want to know, you know. I don't want to know. There's no form of justification, whether it's money, whether it's
no matter what it is,
haunting somebody who, there's no justification that would give a human the right to be so inhumane. I mean,
But in the relationships too, Aruna, we sort of need to be careful of who we doing certain things with. And that's why I always believe in, I mean, not necessarily background checks and so on, but yes. Because at the end of the day, you need to know who you're dealing with. You understand? Because, for example, we go into the bedroom, right? Yes, daddy. Yes, daddy. Yes, daddy. You like that. Both all your thing, all your smiling, everybody happy. Everybody happy in the bedroom. But next thing it gets to a situation where y'all in a particular argument or something like that. And the daddy quote unquote in him comes out. So he feel he could hit you, he could do you what you want, he could treat you because you sort of gave him that authority now. By the names you call him, by the things you allow him to do, and so on. So you really need to know who you. I mean, yes, it's nice and everybody happy in the moment, but sometimes, and I've always been saying this, not everybody agrees, but I always believe that the bedroom life could actually transfer into other things, into other aspects of your life. You know, so even the choking and all of that, you need to be careful who you're doing these things with. You know, if you do this to the wrong person, they will transfer that to when y'all having an argument and feel like it choke you same way.
Someone here is on the WhatsApp is saying, and sometimes you probably need to have a donkey of the day because that person would have gotten it. Is it fair when a woman takes advantage on a man? What does that have to do with the conversation, sir? He says we only rearing right now. I mean, either way you look at it, whether it's women doing it, men doing it, it's wrong. But the question is, was a man murdered? Did a woman murder a man? Or was it the other way around? If you're in a situation and you're unhappy, like I said, and you know you're doing your very best and this person is not working for you, you're going to stay and continue to complain about the person, or you're going to pick up and move on. I've known of situations where people leave big house, vehicle, land, all sorts of things for their own peace of mind. There's no price to put on peace of mind. People have feelings, yes they do. If it was a man, I would have said the same thing. No woman has a right to pick up a whatever weapon and take a life. There's nothing I can say or do, and whatever you're trying to point you're trying to make, it's lost because you're probably somebody who believes in abusing women. There's no excuse for it. The conversation isn't about who doing what or when or how. The end result. So does that mean that justify the means? Okay, this person is cheating on me, they're not treating me good, so you know what, I'm going to take their life? Or this person did this to me and so I'm going to take their life? What is it you're trying to say? There is absolutely no excuse, and it's time we stop making excuses. If something is wrong, it's wrong. There's no if, but what if it was a woman? There's no what if here. It was not a woman. If it is a woman, then the conversation will be the same. There's no justification for that. But it's not. Why do we always try to justify? Let us deal with the issue of domestic violence. If you're a man and you're being abused, whether verbally, physically, whateverly, then you're supposed to take care of yourself as well. Go to the relevant authorities as well. Leave the situation as well. You're a woman, you're being abused, leave. Absolutely no justification. Or trying to excuse, what person says, could you imagine someone feeling when you've been used and abused and some women still playing what? Listen, I don't want to talk to you anymore. You're just going to make me upset on the airwaves. Because you're trying to justify something here and it makes no sense. No one deserves that. Absolutely no one. So no matter how you try to spin and twist, whatever, nobody deserves that. Nobody deserves to die that way.
I don't think this is a male or female conversation.
It's not a male or female conversation. It's about abuse across the board. Because there are men who are being abused the same way. Physically, verbally, you name it. And the same goes for women. But if you're looking at the stats, like I said, just not so long ago, in as a matter of fact, not so long ago, almost every day, you're hearing of a woman losing her life as a result of domestic violence. Just pull up the stats for Jamaica and you'll see young women losing their life. And you here telling me, but what if women do this and what if? Do your research. How many women pull knives or whatever weapon and take the lives of their partner? As compared, if you want to go down that road, let's do the comparison. Do your research and tell me what figures you come up with. Both men and women are being abused, but the stats show that more women are. Someone says, I'm a victim and survivor of domestic violence. And I remember for 14 years, I accepted that kind of life until I almost lost my life. My children were affected at all their young ages. They had to be rescuers to save me. The kids saved me because of the constant fights. The police and other organizations got fed up in the heat of the moment, calling for help. Then too little sweet talk and they're back together again. Abusers never change. I had to pick up and leave just to save my life. And that is the story of a lot of people. There's a lot of violence, domestic violence, happening in more than we think. Happening to people we think it may not be happening to, because they out of fear, or because the person probably prominent in society, or whatever the case, or because of church and their religion and blah blah blah. So many different excuses. Or they have children and they don't want to break up their home. All different sorts of excuses women make and stay in those situations. But the point remains is that nobody, and I stress, nobody deserves to die like that. Absolutely nobody. Whether male, whether female. In this case, it's a female. Nobody deserves to die like that. Regardless of who you were, what you are, nobody deserves to die like that. Based on the circumstances. It's not a case of somebody or self-defense or somebody, you meet this woman doing something to your child or children or your mother, your father or something of the sort and you try to protect them. There's no excuse. So I'm not trying to hear it. There's absolutely no excuse. There have been a number of changes to the law in different times. The thing is, you know what? The thing about it in Grenada, we have a law for almost everything. But upholding the law. Applying. There's a law for picking up a big stone. There's law for everything. But that seems to be the problem. Good morning.
Hey, Aaron. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Carry morning as well. Morning to the listeners. I just had to jump in here to weigh in a bit because listening, seeing everything, and as you rightly said, the focus is on us as men. I was just sharing yesterday that I think growing up, we were not taught how to emotionally express ourselves as men. So you start doing that, you're seen as weak. You're seen as probably even homophobic and these types of things. So there is a lot of damaged young men that are walking out here, and having somebody to speak to, having somebody to genuinely listen to you and be able to give you that advice is something that I personally believe is lacking within our society. Having that big brother that you can lean on, that friend who would rightly say to you, hey, you know what you're doing there is wrong. We have to start somewhere, because if we fail to do that, we're going to continue to see that type of behavior continuing. I mean, if we check right now in our schools and you listen to the children and their discussion of sex and these types of things, that alone kind of shows you that what young men are gravitating towards, or what is being accepted out there. Where does the conflict resolution come in? You understand? And again, you're making a point as to the laws. The laws are very lenient when it comes to certain situations. situations and certain circumstances that it kind of fuels it. And okay, you are an abuser. You saw someone, they committed an abuse, and before you know it, is either you hear about it for a little while, or if it so happens that it goes to court, the person, they get a slap on the wrist, they go in, they come back out, they're on the streets again.
In the same community.
Same community. So there is zero deterrent to say you shouldn't do this. And that is where I always say that there are a lot of NGOs, a lot of women groups, but they only seems to appear at certain times when it is convenient.
I know of this situation where this young lady was cut on her face badly, cut all over her body, and the young man came out of prison, and he came out and was still harassing her. She actually leave the country to get away from this person.
Yeah, so it
went to jail, came out, and still sending threats, still showing up in her neighborhood, and nothing. Did his time, and he figured, you know what, whatever. Living with another young woman. I mean, I would be crazy to know somebody did that to a person, and I'm gonna. But anyway, she had to actually leave to protect herself.
My thing is that there are a lot of things that I see has been done during the COVID times in terms of laws, things that was created as a control mechanism for us. I believe that same type of energy needs to be put into laws for abuse, laws for sexual abuse against minors. These are the things where that type of energy needs to be placed so that we can see a much better turnaround with these types of things, because there are stronger deterrent factors. Unless that happens,
it's a lot of laws. It's just as someone is saying, it's the enforcement. There's a lot of laws.
We're going to always
problem
be in
is
the
enforcement. You're right. Thanks so much.
Hey, you're most welcome.
Have a good one. All right. Bye-bye. And I like the fact you made about, the big brothers. Maybe that's something that, should be looked into, the big brother and mentoring. And back in the day, they had the YWCA and the YWMA. Is it YWMA? Something like that. Anyway, for men, and one for men and one for women. Mentorship. Big brothers, in your community, their brother men who are, live a particular lifestyle, the older men in the community. Let them become your responsibility to talk to them, check up on them, and find out what's going on. It's become a case of nobody bothers with nobody anymore. You do your thing, I do my thing, whatever floats your boat, and I couldn't care less. People aren't checking up on each other like that anymore. It's like, let me mind my business until until something happens close to home that forces you not to mind your business. But it is really, really, really sad. And not just that, but thinking about the family members, daughter, son. It's sad for both. It's sad for both, no matter how you look at it. Both sides. It's a sad, sad, sad moment for both families, How do you come to terms with something like that? As a daughter, seeing this. Anyway, let me just check a couple more. Yes, what's in here says, good morning, Aruna. I had to leave house, car, etc. because my ex-husband was very abusive. And if I did not leave, I'm pretty sure I might not be alive today. More needs to be done. Seems as though domestic abuse is a joke for most people, even some in heads of government. Or sometimes men and women do the abuse because they think or they know nothing will come from it. People will talk, and then that's it. Yeah, so that's about all the time. That's about all the time we got today, guys.
But just before we go to the men, though, especially the men, because we are the stronger ones, of course. We are. It is just what it is, So maybe we could try and find different ways of conflict resolution instead of always trying to be the louder one or always trying to be the more aggressive one. And it's don't think it's a man or woman conversation, guys. It is just what it is. We are the stronger ones. We are the ones that could inflict more damage in most cases. We're not saying that the women are not doing it too, of course, but generally across the board, men, maybe we need to find different ways of conflict resolution instead of trying to be the louder one, trying to be the aggressor, and so on, and I mean, you don't always, it doesn't always have to be like that. I mean, you could boil down, and you never know, the situation might actually take a totally different route. Why we always have to be the one that is the loudest up, putting your foot down, getting on, and let us nip certain things in the bud, like the cuss words and all of that, because obviously this particular situation, it didn't just happen so just like that. We know this, there obviously was something involved, but maybe if in our relationships though, we nip these things from the get-go, like just, hey, we're not doing this. Let's leave that right there. Let us respect each other, equal grounds. If we do certain things like that later on down the road, things don't have to get messy, right? And I mean, to the people that Walker Dog said she deserves it, I mean, I can't tell you guys what to think or what to say, but no one, again, your personal life is your personal life, but you can't tell me that somebody deserves this and in the same sentence tell me that society is normal. It can't be. I can't believe that, and to the young men especially, it's okay to walk around and look nice. It's okay to walk around and wear good jeans, a good shoe, take a trim, do your hair. These things are okay. Why it always have to be you're soft or you're on the other side? Ladies like that too. You understand? Men who well dressed, I think they get a lot of girl, like a lot. You understand? So it's not always about pants below your butt, listening to Trini bad and the this bad and the that bad. Everywhere you go, you have something in your pocket. I mean, yo.
Patrick, it's a good suggestion. That's what I'm working on, and having that conversation, gonna get somebody who's more versed, qualified on that topic to help us out. All right. So someone here is saying focus a lot on the physical abuse, but the red flags are shown first in one's actions. Listen to what they say, pay close attention to their behaviors, and that's exactly what I prefixed this morning's conversation on. The red flags that we ignore can turn out to be the bigger flags. The flags that you ignore today could be the ones that get you in hot water later on. So pay attention to them. Will do, Petra. Again, thanks so much everyone for participating this morning. Thank you so much for your contribution. Like you said, the conversation will continue, and we appreciate you chiming in and being part of today's topic. All right, catch us again tomorrow, God's will, for another one.
Ladies Room comes to you